This video is part 10 in a series that provides an overview of the National Folklore Archive Initiative, NFAI, and an introduction to the function and content of its Folklore Collections Database, the FCD. Video 10, Creating Object Records. Series. In the previous video, we discussed how to create an object record for a collection. In this video, we'll go over creating a series and subseries level records. At this point, you will have created a record for your repository and created records for all the entities, individuals, organizations, and meetings associated with the collection, and you will have created your collection level record. To recap, object is a term used in the FCD for the type of database record used to describe archival content. The 6 types of objects, collection, series, subseries, box, folder, and item, represent different levels and aspects of archival description. In this video, we will go over the creation of series and subseries records. A series is a conceptual and organizational unit within an archival collection. When series are used in FCD, they represent the second tier of your description. Subseries are divisions within series. When they are used in FCD, they represent the third tier of your description. When a repository uses series to organize and describe collections, often the distinction is employed to separate different types of records within a collection. For example, audio recordings, photographs, and manuscripts, or research records and administrative materials, or work created by different individuals. When a repository uses subseries in collection descriptions, it's to signify divisions within a series. Not every collection will be subdivided into series and subseries, nor will every repository use series and subseries distinctions in their archival description. If your collection descriptions don't include series and subseries, don't worry about it. Just ignore the series and subseries object types, and stick with the object type or types that are relevant to how your repository describes its holdings. Let's take a look at how series display in a collection-level record. Here at the top of the record, you can see the standard collection fields. Below the collection record proper is a list of all the related objects, series, and items in FCD that make up this collection. Looking at the object type field on the right, you can see both series and item. Looking to the title field on the left, you can see the series titles, and then under them, and slightly indented, the item titles. This just provides visual reference to the way series and items relate to each other. Items are parts of series. Next, we'll go through the steps of creating a new series record using the FCD cataloging interface. We're going to begin by creating an object record for a series. First, log into the cataloging interface using your username and password. The only type of object you can create from this screen is a collection. All other objects can only be created from inside a collection record. To get to the collection we want to use, we first have to find it. For this example, I'm going to use the quick search bar. Our sample collection is the Albert Wilmarth collection. Now that we have the collection record opened, we can get started on creating the sample series record. There's more than one way to do this, but I'm going to demonstrate the most straightforward way, using the Editing Collection box in the upper left of the screen. To add a series to the collection, you click Add A and select Series, then click the plus sign. Now we're in the data entry form for a series. Note the location and hierarchy, Dr. Albert Wellmarth Vermont Field Collection, New Series. To the left, a list of associated data forms for series records, and then all the individual fields on the basic info form. Local identifier, if you have one, fill it in. Repository. Although series and other components of collections are associated with all the information in the collection, it's generally good practice to include relationship references on the lower levels too, if possible. So I'm going to enter the repository here. As with the other forms, this field is linked to the repository entries in the FCD. Title. What's the title of this series? I'm just going to call it Manuscripts. Alternate title. Let's just go with Series 1. Dates. If there's a specific date range associated with the series, you can plug it in here. Otherwise, just leave it blank. Summary. A brief narrative summary of the who, what, where, and why of the series. In this case, I'm going to enter manuscript materials from the Albert Wellmarth Vermont Field Collection, including journals, field notes, and sketches. Creator and contributor. Once more, since the series is linked to the collection, you don't need to enter the creator here. However, since series are independently discoverable in the FCD, it doesn't hurt. Here I'll add Albert Wellmarth and assign the role Creator. This is my favorite part, materials designation, the kinds of items that make up the series. Since we said there are 3 kinds of items, we're going to create material designation records for each. On the left is the general materials designation, the broad conceptual category to which the materials belong. On the right, the specific materials designation. In other words, the general designation would include things like sound recording, and the specific designation would be cassette. So highlight the GMD term on the left and select the little arrow, and then choose the appropriate SMD on the right. We'll start with text and select field notes. Now we'll add another because there's more than one kind of material in this series. Once more, we'll select text for the general designation. And since there's nothing specific that deals with journals, we'll just go with the more generic manuscripts to represent all the written materials in the series that are not field notes. Finally, we'll make reference to the sketches. And for that, we have the graphic general materials designator. Looking on the specific side, there are no terms related to drawings, so in this case, we just won't select one. Next is extent. Here you should put the number of containers and measurements of the items that make up this series. We're going to say it's 1 box. Language. As with everything in this collection, we're going to say English. Access. This field refers to the accessibility of this FCD record on the front end of the database. We'll just leave it accessible to the public. Status. Just leave this be for now. Finally, save the contents of the data form. You'll need to save each time you move from one data form to another. So that's the basics of creating a series-level record in FCD. If you want to enter data into the other data screens, subject, notes, etc., you can, but you're not required to. The details of using those fields are covered in Video 9, Creating Collection Records. Let's see how the record we've created looks on the front end of the FCD. Here you go. You can see the Albert Wellmarth Field Collection. This is the collection level record. And down in the Objects in this collection section of the record, we see the title, Manuscripts, and the type, Series. Clicking on the title will open up the series record itself. You can tell it's a series record based on the object type displayed at the top of the record, Series, just above the title, Manuscripts. Looking over the rest of the record, you can see all the info here. And then there at the bottom, this is a part of field, which shows users what collection this series is from. Clicking on that brings you back to the collection level record. Now let's go back to the record and add a subseries to the Albert Wilmarth collection. First, we click on the Show Hierarchy to display the collection hierarchy. Since subseries can only be created within a series level record, let's select the manuscript series we previously created. To add a subseries record under the series record, go to the editing box on the left of the screen and click Add a Subseries, and click the plus sign. Now we're in the subseries basic info data sheet. For the sake of brevity, we're going to enter a small amount of information. Everything you learned about creating series records applies here. We're just going to be sure to fill in the two required fields, title and materials designation, as well as a few others along the way. In the title field, we're going to enter field notes. In the materials designation field, we're going to select text. Then, next, select field notes. And hit save. That's the basics of creating a subseries level record in FCD. If you want to enter data into the other data screens, subject, notes, etc., you can, but you're not required to do so. Since this record is directly associated with the collection, all the data entered on the collection screens also apply to it. Now let's see how the record we've created looks on the front end. Here's the front end view of the collection level record for the Albert Wilmarth Vermont Field Collection. Let's go take a peek at the objects. There you can see the nested subseries. Click on it and quickly review the parts. Type, subseries, title field notes, and then all the info we entered. Going to is a part of brings us up to the manuscripts series. And from that record, we can go back up to the collection level record. So that's how you create a subseries. There you go. In the next video, we'll go over how to create box and folder level records in the FCD.